All right there guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about what makes and what made Call of Duty World at War so special. If you ask people which Call of Duty game would they like to see remastered the most, the two most common answers to that question are the entirety of the original Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 2. Those are the two most common answers. However, for me, it's neither of those games. It's World at War from 2008. Now, this game had a lot riding on it when it came out, because the most important game in the whole Call of Duty franchise had just been released the previous year, that of course being the original Modern Warfare 1, COD 4. So World at War had pretty big shoes to fill, and it was another World War II game. The first three Call of Duty games were all World War II games. Modern Warfare was the first one to not be, and then World at War took us straight back to World War II. But it was a roaring success. Let's start off with the campaign. The campaign, in my opinion, is the best campaign in Call of Duty history. No COD campaign is as good as this one. You were playing as two different sides in World War II. You're playing as the Americans fighting the Japanese, and you're also playing as the Russians fighting the Nazis. World at War has some of the most iconic level missions in COD history. The most well-known mission, of course, being Vendetta, which, of course, is also the mission that you meet Viktor Reznov for the very first time. With every Call of Duty game having a mandatory stealth section in the campaigns nowadays, there's one level in every COD campaign, probably since the original Modern Warfare, has at least one stealth mission. Vendetta is World at War stealth mission, although the silencer wasn't a thing yet. Oh, actually no, yes it was. But you don't actually get to use the silencer. You just use a sniper rifle, the Kar98K with a scope instead. It also has the mission Little Resistance, which birthed the first point in any COD game ever that the ray gun, the most famous wonder weapon from zombies, was accessible. In Little Resistance, after a bunch of your men get shot as you're storming the beaches of Normandy, there are 3 puddles around the beginning of the level. And if you stand in all 3 of them for 10 seconds each, the screen will start shaking, and these statues of lions will rise out of the ground. And there's 4 of them, all with a ray gun each. Because World at War was the very first Call of Duty game to have co-op campaign. Something that was only brought back in BO3, and the less said about the BO3 campaign, the better. But yeah, World at War was the first game to introduce co-op campaign, and it also had another co-op campaign feature called Competitive Campaign, which never came back. It was just for this game. Competitive Campaign is basically just co-op campaign again, but every single kill you get gives you score, and it's pretty much a battle between you and up to 3 other people who can get the most score in a level. So probably who can get the most kills, or who can get a good number of kills in a very quick succession to get bonuses and times bonuses and get more points. it was an interesting feature that I actually remember playing quite a bit when there were more people playing the game. But probably the most iconic part of the campaign is the ending. Because in the final mission of World at War sees you playing as the Russians, and you're fighting your way through the Reichstag, the Nazi parliament building. You fight your way through that building all the way up to the very top of it, and as your character is about to plant down the Soviet flag, he gets shot. So Reznov sticks the machete through this guy and throws him off the building, cuts down the Nazi flag, and then you plant the Soviet flag. Obviously, in the world of today, Nazism and communism are equally as awful things, and should both be condemned to the highest order. So that's the campaign. Next, we'll go talk about the multiplayer. Now, the multiplayer of World at War has some absolutely incredible, iconic maps. Dome is one. Dome is a brilliant map. It's like in a jet hangar, where there's some staircases at the bottom of the map, but the majority of the map is inside of the hangar. It's such an incredible map. It's so good that they actually brought it back in Call of Duty Vanguard. They actually brought Dome back. It's always weird when a map from one developer's game comes back, but in a different developer game. Like, Dome was created by Treyarch, but it was Sledgehammer Games that brought it back in Vanguard. Courtyard is another phenomenal map. It has this tower in the middle of the map that you can actually go inside of and climb up to the top and snipe from. The map also features drivable tanks, which was a feature in earlier COD games as well, like COD 3. You could drive tanks, but World at War was the last game you could drive tanks in until COD World War 2. Next up, we've got Castle, which is a very Japanese-inspired map. It has like the Japanese imperial flag all over the place. That's another great map. There's Markin, which is taken straight out of the first level of the campaign. They even added a bonus DLC map called Markin Day, which is just the same map but in the daytime. And the last multiplayer map I guess I'd like to talk about is Airfield. Airfield is a fantastic map when it comes to sniping. And also, this is still back when the multiplayer maps for COD games were sections of campaign levels turned into their own maps. Of which the Zombies maps also did the same thing. They took parts of the multiplayer maps and turned it into a Zombies map. Because Airfield is actually where Nacht der Untoten comes from. The multiplayer map Asylum is literally just Verrückt, which is funny because Verrückt is literally German for asylum. And third and finally, Zombies. World at War is the birthplace of Call of Duty Zombies. One of the greatest and most successful third side game modes in any game ever. And it was created for this game Originally, when World at War came out, the only way you could access zombies is to beat the campaign, but then Treyarch added an update later on where you could just access zombies from the main menu and you didn't have to beat the campaign. But it's funny because when you beat the campaign, back when that's what you had to do, you're thrown straight into Nocta and Toten without any warning. It plays the opening cutscene of the zombies walking towards you, and then that one that sprints at you right at the end before the Nazi zombies logo comes up. Of course, World at War has the worst gameplay mechanics when it comes to zombies, but that's expected. You'd expect the games to have better gameplay mechanics as they progress. But Nocta and Toten is by far the most famous zombies map of all time because it's been remastered more than any other map in zombies history. It was remastered in BO1, it was remastered in BO2, kind of. It's part of Transit. It came back in its entirety in BO3 Revelations before it was remastered as its own map again in Zombie Chronicles. BO4 is the only COD game with Treyarch Zombies game that Nocta and Toten does not feature in the slightest. Then in Cold War, Nocta and Toten is part of D Machine. Will Nocta and Toten make an appearance in BO6? Because that game is not far away at all now. It's a month away, maybe a bit less. Will BO6 also continue the trend of having Nocta and Toten in it somewhere? And of course, World at War gave us so many things in zombies that are still very much used today. Wall weapons, the mystery box, wonder weapons, pack-a-punch, traps, buildable barriers, opening doors with points. So many of the core features of zombies that are still very much used consistently today were all introduced in World at War. And World at War never had any main Easter eggs that take 20 plus steps to complete like the Easter eggs of nowadays. The only Easter egg in zombies in World at War that actually took multiple steps to do was in Der Riese, which was the final DLC map, called the Fly Trap Easter egg, where you would have a pack-a-punched gun and you would go to the left-hand side of the spawn and there would be a little pole you'd have to shoot, and every single power-up, that's another one, power-ups, a core feature of COD Zombies, introduced in World at War. And the power-ups would fly into the air and then shoot off, and what you'd have to do, you'd have to go around the map looking for these teddy bears and shoot them. Now, I can't remember if you get a reward in World at War. I don't think you do. But in the BO3 version of Der Riese, which is called The Giant, which is the map you got if you bought the season pass, if you do the same Easter egg, you actually do get a reward. You get the Annihilator pistol from multiplayer as a specialist weapon. One thing that is very commonly associated with World at War, especially in recent years, is people call World at War a horror game. Obviously it's not, because no Call of Duty game is a horror game, but the sound design and the music and the overall feel and atmosphere of World at War is like no other COD game that came before it or came after it. The creepy sound design that Treyarch decided to put in for this game, a lot of it is found in zombies, whether it's where you can hear someone screaming or being drilled into in Verrückt, or whether it's the extremely creepy phone Easter egg from Shin Onuma that freaked me out when I played it for the first time back in 2015. But yeah, there are multiple videos on YouTube talking about and displaying the horror feeling and atmosphere that World at War has that no other COD game can even come close to replicating. And the final thing I would like to talk about for this video is World at War actually made you feel like you were in World War II. In the sense of, if you got killed by a grenade, either your legs or your arms would fly off. Your limbs would just be blown off your body. World at War doesn't shy away from the horrors of war, or of war itself. It doesn't shy away from what terrible tragedies war can cause and does cause. COD World War II did not do that. COD Vanguard definitely did not do that. No game gave you more of a feeling of actually being in a war than World at War did. And you could argue that World at War is the greatest World War II video game ever made. At least in my opinion, that's what it is. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Did you guys play World at War? Did you enjoy World at War? I sure as hell did, and would absolutely love if they made a remaster of it. But I can't see that happening. Even though people would much rather if you just remastered every COD game between the original Modern Warfare, which has already been remastered, all the way up to BO2. If you literally just remastered all of those games, so Modern Warfare, which has been remastered, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, the whole of it, not just the campaign, BO1, Modern Warfare 3, and BO2. If you just remastered all of those games, we'd be much happier. Because I haven't bought a COD game since Cold War, and I don't think I'm going to be picking up BO6 either. But that's going to be the end of the video. Hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and until we meet again, farewell.